Hi, this is Kerrilee from Thumbprint Realty. You seem to have a lot of questions, and I have answers. So according to Real Wealth, in 2007, around 2/3 of investors were primarily focused on the stock market. Now that number has fallen to 50%, with many millennials choosing to invest in real estate. Why do you guys kind of see that shift from stock market to all of a sudden the real estate?
When we had the crash, people, it's really hard to forget when you lose 40 to 60% of your investments because it was on the stock market. The market was high, it was high for a period of years, and then when it crashed, people lost a lot of money. Now as millennials, you kind of think of what can I build on that I'm not going to lose. And I think it's a good point. I say I like when people diversify, have money in real estate, have money in the stock market, but just know that that high isn't going on forever.
So is it fair to say that homes typically increase in value? So there's
Absolutely.
What are your
It's one of
thoughts
the
on that?
only investment really that appreciates, right?
Yes.
And so, speaking of millennials, I find that the millennials are thinking differently these days. They're thinking financial wealth, and they're thinking early retirement, and so they're energized and they're going after building equity in real estate. And so once they're plugged in with the right people or right counselors to advise them, they listen, they're coachable, and they go for it. And so they're more apt to take risk, I think, than our generation really.
Yes.
And so I find that most of my clients were younger people, the millennials.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, Rosalind, you just purchased your first multifamily. Congratulations!
Thank you.
So excited
Thank
for you. What caused you to make that leap from renting to home ownership?
I think I was tired of funding someone else's legacy, and I wanted to create my own. And when I looked at the fact that I was in this place for 4 years, what I was paying, I said it didn't make sense to continue to do that. So I wanted to create an avenue that would allow me to be able to retire, right? Because I looked at it and I said, okay, well, if I purchase this investment property, this is also a retirement vehicle, because that's what my landlord was doing.
Right.
He had several properties, and I know he's probably getting about $20,000 a month off of these properties, and they're paid for because he's had them, I think, for about 30 plus years now.
Wow.
So his children are going to benefit from this. And I said to myself, I'm at the point in my life where I want something that's mine. I want freedom, I want flexibility, but I want a place where I can call home. And when you're renting, you can't really call it home,
Right.
because you can't do the things you want, and you just can't be able to have that peace of mind because it's not yours.
Well, I hear a lot of people say that they just can't afford a mortgage, right? So, Marcia, from your experience, what's the typical average rent in Boston now for maybe a 2 or 3 bedroom?
2 or 3 bedroom, I would say anywhere from 2,200 and up.
Wow.
So,
Yes.
say that one more time.
At least 2,200 and up.
So, let's throw some numbers out there. 2-family house in Brockton, just to give you an example, would cost about how much? Would you say maybe around a little over $1,800, depending on the purchase price, right? For 2 units. So if you can afford a multifamily where your mortgage is about $1,800, and you could rent out your first level and your second level, wouldn't one really just pay for the bulk of your mortgage?
Yes. Yeah. And I know people right now that are experiencing that.
The apartment list survey indicates, right, that the 100 top housing markets have seen rent increases within the past year. Does that frighten people that your rent is going up every single year?
Yeah.
Yes. One thing too I wanted to say that I didn't really think about. I have a colleague that I work with that's been renting the same, it's a 2-family house. She's been in there 12 years. and the landlord, who's an elderly woman, she's just kind of, done with, renting. So she sold the property and gave my colleague 30 days to get out of an apartment that she's been in for 12 years. So that's scary to me. And she's living, pretty close to the city where, her rent is up there. So she really could afford to look outside of the city and buy something. But I think her mentality was, I can't afford a house. And I think it's just misinformation. This is someone that, if she was to sit down with a realtor or, a mortgage broker to find out that she actually could buy something and own something instead of scrambling to get out of a property that she's been rooted in for 12 years.
Right.
And that's a huge difference between renting and owning.
Also, think about the numbers, right? Because it's all in the numbers. For example, a renter would have to come up with first, last, and sometimes security. You add those numbers up, and it could be anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000. That's enough. Well, speaking of Boston, and even in Brockton too, because Brockton is getting pretty much as high as Boston, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so, if you find someone who wants to rent, in my case, I've had that. I would say to them, listen, this money that you're coming up with for the down payment for rental, why not consider buying?
Right. I mean, that's a
That's
huge
right.
chunk of money
And coupled-
on a rental
Yes.
property.
And coupled with the down payment assistance, I've helped several people purchase homes in this regard.